What's up, ladies and gentlemen of Middle Earth? I'm Ryan the Cyber Hobbit, and today I'm going to try to convince you to start 3D printing.
Always remember, your focus determines your reality.
Just to clarify, no one's promoted me to make this video. I simply love 3D printing, and I want to try to share that passion with you and let you know that it's not near as pricey or as difficult as you might think. Now you may be asking yourself, Ryan, why do you care if I 3D print anything? And I would say to you, besides being one of my favorite hobbies, it's incredibly practical. The amount of money you can save by just 3D printing something that would otherwise cost you like $30 or $40, but with 3D printing could cost you $2 or $3 is endless. So to try to convince you, I thought I would show you some of my favorite things I've 3D printed over the last year or so. And I put those into two different categories, functional and artistic. Artistic being the things you see mainly here, and functional being something that has a purpose. It does something more than just look cool. Though before we get into that, I do want to take a moment to talk about price and cost. Most people think that 3D printing is very expensive, and it can be, but not the version that I'm doing. Everything that you see on this table here was printed with a 3D printer that cost me just $200. So although there are very expensive printers out there, the quality that you can get for printers that are very cheap nowadays is very amazing. Though you do also have to consider there's the filament that you use. And it's basically a piece of plastic that you melt to then extrude into these, but it's really not that bad. It comes in rolls that look like this. So it's basically a big rolled up of this stuff, and this roll right here cost me $20 or so. I mean, granted, you have to consider there's lots of different types of filament, but most of it is about that range. So my point is, 3D printing is very practical, cheap, and there should be nothing holding you back if you're worried about that. Okay, first up is the cast of Final Fantasy VII. This was my favorite video game growing up, and I always thought it'd be really cool to actually have little characters from the games. It's just another example of the possibilities with 3D printing. You know, this is something that doesn't exist. You're not supposed to be able to hold Cloud Strife in your hand, but I can. I should mention that Squaresoft, or Square Enix nowadays, they do make 3D characters like this that you can buy, but I should mention theirs are much smaller and they don't actually have the whole cast. So another pro for 3D printing. And while we're on the subject of video games, this is Earthworm Jim from the Sega Genesis. Well, I guess it was also released on other systems too, but I played it there. And next up we have the Wise Master Yoda. This one was a lot of fun. This was actually my first multi-day print. This took about 56 hours to print, but well worth it, I think. Here's another Star Wars related 3D print. This is a holder for the Kyber crystals I got from Galaxy's Edge. Thought it was pretty cool. Still have spot for one more. Alright, and next up I have my two favorite Saiyans from Dragon Ball Z, Nappa and Vegeta.
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?
And continuing on with the anime-themed 3D printed things, this is Kaneda's bike from Akira. It's pretty cool, the wheels actually do turn. And now I have a little bit more of a functional print. This is a T800 from the Terminator that acts as a paintbrush holder for me. Really cool. And some of my Lord of the Rings fans may recognize this guy. This is one of the orcs from the Rankin Bass Hobbit Lord of the Rings cartoons. Where there's a web, there's a way. Star Wars fans may recognize this one. This is a functional, well, functional meaning it lights up and has sound, thermal detonator from Return of the Jedi. Pretty cool. Alright, Lord of the Rings fans, you may recognize this one. This is a Fellbeast diorama. I found this model on CG Trader, and once I realized it was meant to be 3D printed, I dove head first into it. This is by far my longest and most difficult 3D printed piece, but I think well worth it. I believe it's based on the Iron Studios 1/20th scale Fellbeast. It's kind of a very similar thing where you have a Fellbeast on the top and Frodo and Sam at the bottom like that, but it's a little different. It doesn't have this rock, I guess, but anyway, it's just another great example of that $900 statue I have now printed with 2 rolls of filament that cost me about $40 plus, I guess, the price of the model, as well as paint. Let's not forget paint. But still, for about $100 I created this, and yeah, pretty cool. Okay, some of you may have seen this in some of my other videos, but this is a Gandalf wall lamp. And I did not make this, just to clarify. I got this off of Etsy, but I figured I would show it off because it is also 3D printed. This is a light that I did make. This is a 3D printed Rohirrim themed wall light to add some lighting to my Rohirrim themed swords. And here's a little bit more of a functional piece. What you're seeing right here is a Philips Hue play bar that I have mounted to my wall to kind of get a little bit accent lighting to this Lord of the Rings map. And it's a custom 3D printed piece that I modeled on Tinkercad and then printed it. I actually made this one as well as there's one on the other side right here. But yeah, pretty cool. And keeping on with the theme of lights, this is a little Nintendo LED logo I made. Pretty cool. Keeping on with logos, here is a Sith Empire logo I made. Alright, and here we have a more of a functional piece. This is a 3D printed speaker mount. Okay, and I also printed these. I basically rigged up my speakers that were used to sit right here and got it off of my desk and put it up in the air to kind of point it at my ears a little bit better. And here I have what I call my mini monitor mount. This is a little kind of wrapper I made to hold this mini screen that I have sitting under my main monitor of my computer. And yeah, it has these transparent prints that I put along the bottom, and then I ran an LED strip along the inside to give it this little glow along the edges. Okay, and I have to mention this. This is an outlet cover for a phone jack that I did not use, that I thought was an eyesore to my wall, and I decided to put Han Solo frozen in carbonite over top of it. So in summary, I hope I've convinced you a little bit about the possibilities of 3D printing. One of the ways I like to look at it is sort of like buying something online. The way you press a buy button, wait a little bit, and then poof, you have a package at your house. This is you press a print button, wait a little bit, and then poof, you have a high quality 3D printed thing. So the holidays are coming up, Christmas is around the corner. If you're looking for a new hobby, I highly recommend giving 3D printing a shot. I do not think you will regret it. I'm Ryan the Cyber Hobbit. Until next time.